you know, if there is anything that we will continue up with heaven, is singing. And you know how they describe music? They say it is an organized noise.
They make a joyful noise.
An organized noise. In other words, and so in other words, when people sing together, you find it's organized. Someone singing this song. I don't know how it will be in heaven, but we will go there and sing songs. If there are people like me who love songs, I do love songs, and, especially that comes from the church hymns. They'll never go away in my mind. And the more you sing them, the more it sings. Everybody has a song. Today we don't have much time because we want to just wash our feet and go and sit on the table. And before that, we want to share some things. The topic that we have is maybe. Maybe. We share. I've always said I've reached. Came April, I'll be April 12th. I'll be rounded 60. There's no way out. I'm going back. I'm not going back anymore. So I think I've reached my limit. I have my mistakes, and I've realized that you have to go with them to God, and that's the safest way. El Darua was doing a devotion in our house, and he brought up the cities of refuge. That were there were 6 of them: Judah, and then the other Israel. So the city of refuge is the safest place. Is here, and so I think this is where I want to be. So maybe is our topic today, but let's see some other things. Did I bring my papers with me? Because sometimes I don't even see. One of the words that can be used to describe the nature of God is help. Maybe you will agree with me, or maybe you will doubt, but this is, you can call him help. Amen. Helping is not only what God does, but it is who God is. Now, it is his identity. He can't help but to help. I can't help but to help. There's nothing he can do but to help. No, that's big. No matter what situation you are in, even if you have ignored him for many times, he can't help but to help, because he created me in his likeness. There's no way. You know, you have children. They can go wayward. They can go highway. But they are children still. So the only thing you can do, you can't help but to help. I can't help it but to help. That's God. His presence is the presence of help. He is, okay. He doesn't have to do anything, but he just has to be there. Wherever he is, help is there. You know, you can't hear. Because he can't see anything bad and keeps quiet. He will do something. David in his battle with God wrote, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in times of trouble. We don't have to depend on history and past activities to give us assurance of the future. He is here to help now. That makes me feel better, no matter how I am, because his help. Now, why do I say this? I want to share some few stories with you. I read, the only thing that takes much of my time is news. So I read, this is a Canadian woman. He's very brave, and he, not only brave, maybe he doesn't go, but now he prayed. Some people heard about that. A Canadian woman who fought off a cougar. A cougar is kind of like a mini lion. I'll bring up a picture. Okay. It's a cougar. It's called a cougar. I looked at him now. This is her statement. I looked at him and I just thought, oh my God, my kid could be what? Could die before my eyes, she added. All you think, now that is her statement, all you think is what can you do in front of a cougar or a lion? a woman. What can you do? Now, she added, all you think is what you can do. What can you do in your own physical strength? Now, sometimes I look at those words and I look at how we are, and sometimes you think not by power or by might. You think you can do it by your education. You think you can do it with your money. You think you can do it with your beauty. And sometimes you look at all those things and you say, my goodness. What can you do in the hands of a lion with your child, dragging your child away, and you were watching? I know, but it's that woman. She didn't even yell. She said, my goodness, God help me. If you read that story, he prayed fast. That's what it says here. I looked at him, I repeated. If you see at the CTV news, you see what she said. She prayed fast. And then, how comes she goes and picks the mouth of the cougar, and the cougar just let go? If it was not prayer. Now, let me see. See, that's the beast. And it let go. So, anytime the name of the Lord is called, the best thing I can describe God is help. That is his nature. Now, this happened some time ago. And this is a place where some people now find their place to live. There was a cyclone in Zimbabwe, and such things happened, and it was devastated. That was once a beautiful houses and all the things that people are living. Maybe the picture cannot be good, but it looks that way. Now, I sympathize with that woman. That's the shape. No, she doesn't think of any change. She's in Africa. So if it were here, many people would come and we will rebuild when something happens. But in Africa, it takes longer time to rebuild. So sometimes that child will stay that way for a longer time. And so is to those ones. And so is to those ones. That's a house. That's in Mozambique. And so is to that one. That's now is in Kenya. There's a drought, I say, and over 20 million are going without food. And Elder Peter Wayne always tells me that there's something found in America that's not found elsewhere. Do you know what it is? The garbage bag. All the food, 40% of food goes into the garbage. But that person is not sick. He's hungry. Without any water, any food to drink. Next, those that you see like a bush, a tree, that's his house. And compare yourself with the house you live in and the foods you throw in the garbage. And you know, most of them in Turkana and Kenya, their livelihood depends on animals. And look at thousands and thousands of them are there, down there. I just want to bring your attention on that. Look at the boy sitting between the carcasses, and we are counting our blessings. And sometimes we forget that the Lord has done to us. Now, this is from God's, this is Luke chapter 13, all of you have read. Now, people came to him with stories like, there were present at that season some who told him about the Galileans, whose blood Pilate had. No, that's at the time when Pilate was really killing people. So he would kill people and mix their blood with their sacrifices. And now, so they brought them that news. Now Jesus said to them, do you suppose that these Galileans were worse sinners than all other Galileans? Because they suffered these things? Now that's, bringing that to me. You know, sometimes when things happen, we think we are exempt. That such things cannot happen. Jesus saw that in the face of the Galileans and said, do you think those were worse than we are? Now when people get into accidents and when people get into their fire, if the fire killed a family, like, and we stay in the same types of homes. And sometimes you see that there's an airplane that was flying by and it dropped and killed a family in the house. And we think we are exempt. Now, he says, I tell you, not but unless you repent, you will likewise perish. So here we are, now, into the shelter of God, and we don't know. Now, we are talking about seasons of life. Now, we talked about changes that can happen, the transition that can happen. Things can change in a twinkle of an eye, and it can change to nothing else. It can change to price and snatching with the teeth. Now, before that, he said, the only thing that is just come to God. Even though such things happen to you at that time, you will already be in a safe place, even if the body will be demolished. But the rest will be still in the safe place. We have children out there. Things are happening with children. Things are happening everywhere, every time, every minute. People are dying in drones. But we are safe here. So we are glad. So he says, do you think that they were worse sinners than all other men? Some things happen. Now, people thought before then that sins like leprosy would come because maybe their father sinned, or it's on their DNA or something like that. Well, I don't think so. Now, today we want to look into this subject maybe, and I want to go through it as a testimony. Let's pray. Father, we want to thank you as we prepare ourselves for a communion. But before that, we want to throw our thoughts into your words. It's a powerful testimony. We want to come before you for help. Let the power of the Holy Spirit be with us in this building, in this house of worship. That, Lord, you will talk in the stillness of your voice to your people at such a time of this, because we need you. You are our only hope, our only help. You are the only one who can explain those that are hidden into your words, so that it can be like a living water into our hearts. Be with us. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen. I'm amazed by this, and it was well read. Then Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, come, let us go over the garrison of this uncircumcised. Maybe the Lord will work for us. For nothing, that's what? Restrains the Lord from serving by many or by few. And you know this story. Let me bring a little bit preamble of this man, Jonathan. Saul was the first king of Israel, and you all know. And you know, then if you are a king, you are the next son will be the king instead. Now this Jonathan had a very, very strange character, and I admire that one. That's why I say it's a testimony. And you all know Jonathan. His name means hero. And he was a heroic figure now. That is a Hebrew name he was. He was the eldest son of King Saul, as well as a close friend of David. Now that's very, very important. We talk about friends. If you talk about friends, you call the name David and Jonathan, and you'll hear that. Even when Jonathan died, when somebody brought news, he thought he was bringing news to David, because they thought his father was David's enemy, so he thought Jonathan was. So he brought news when Jonathan died. And he brought news, you know what's happening there? But he said, oh, and your enemies are dead. And did Jonathan also die? And he said, yes, and he killed him. That's type of friendship. A friend that you will protect somebody regardless. Even if it's almost be a dealer sometimes. When I'm a pastor, I don't want any other pastor to come closer. Sometimes it can even sibling rivalry, even from your brother, your twin brother, even if from your sister. Sometimes you don't want to see anything good of him. But not to Jonathan. Not to Jonathan. You know, Jonathan, he had a covenant. And if the Bible says very clearly, it says, Jonathan became one in spirit with David. That's the kind of friendship. While he knew very well that this person was to take his place as a king. If you really know somebody was going to take your place as a king, and then you should love him, he protected him even if his father wanted to kill him. You know, his father wanted to secure that throne for Jonathan. And Jonathan knew. So he knew to Saul and Jesse, those were not relatives, they were separate people. It's only God that had anointed David to come to sit instead of Saul, because Saul had just done some things that the Lord wasn't happy with. So he had already chosen someone from somewhere to come and take the throne of Saul, not even thinking of Jonathan. Jonathan already knew about that thing. So when Jonathan protected David by all means, protected him, and when there was war between the Philistines and the Israel, now that time David had run away from Saul because he wanted to kill him. Jonathan, as a friend, could have gone with David as a friend. And maybe David requested that way. But he said, no, I have to stay with my father. Now look at that. Nothing could tear him away from his family also. And you know very well that on that very day, he died protecting his father, who also sometimes wanted to kill him because of loving David. No, but his father wanted to kill him. And if I'm trying to protect the throne for you, but you try to protect David, who is an enemy. So he wanted to kill him. But he said when it came time of war, when things were not good, he came beside his father and he died protecting his father. That's how he was. That's what he was. Now, our story will be short. But look at that story. If you go back into 1 Samuel chapter 13 and coming up to chapter 14, it's a very nice story to read sometimes in your lifetime. Now, those times, if you read in my Bible, it says, just my Bible would say, a topic that the Bible tells me here is Jonathan defeats the Philistines. Jonathan defeats the Philistines. And that's why I'm coming with the power of a maybe. Now, if you read that story, chapter 13, going onwards, you know, he had provoked the Philistines one time and went there and killed thousands of them himself with his armor bearer. And so the Philistines gathered together 30,000 men with chariots and horses ready to fight with the people of Israel. Now, it was timely. They timed them. It was a time Israel didn't have sharpeners, materials to sharpen their weapons. They didn't. It's very strange in the Bible. That they would take all their weapons to Philistines to sharpen them, and Philistines were their common enemy. How could you take your weapon to the enemy to sharpen it? I've always read stories that Americans make warplanes and Russians make warplanes. But if anybody would go there and leak anyhow how those warplanes are made, you will be an enemy of the state. So here is a case where they take all their weapons to be sharpened by Philistines, and the Philistines grabbed the opportunity. Let me just come about a little bit about the spiritual part of it. There are times when we take all our armor to the devil, to the enemy, which is the devil. We take everything, we give them everything, we give them all the time, everything to them. And when they conquer you with that, because the devil, you know, the devil doesn't know what you are thinking. If there is anything that the devil doesn't know, he keeps on just guessing. I think he's thinking about this. I think he's thinking about stealing. I think he's stealing about this and this. And with those types of things. But if you openly give him the weapon, he will fight you with that. Because he will listen to what you say. He doesn't know what you're thinking, but he's very keen to hear what you're saying and then act on that. That's why I always say, sometimes when you say, something, be careful what you wish for, because the devil will pick it from there. Mm-hmm. So let's not give him the weapons. So they gave the Philistine all the weapons to sharpen. So the Philistine, after to revenge, they captured that time. So Israel had no weapons except Saul, who was the king of the land those times, and his son Jonathan. Only 2 weapons in Israel. But those people have chariots, horses, over 30,000. And so they were camping. Now, if you read verse 14, chapter 14. Now, chapter 14. Now, it happened one day that Jonathan, the son of Saul, said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come, let us go over to the Philistine garrison that is on the other side." But he did not tell his father. You know, there are times when he had sneaked over there, and when he defeated all those people, then Saul was so happy until he said, "Let nobody eat." Like, you know, today we are fasting. I didn't know that. Today is a fasting day for those people who we didn't tell you last week. So there's a lot of food in there, and I forgot, but today is a fasting day. So he declared a fast and said, let nobody eat. That's how, when they have defeated everybody. But Jonathan, found honey and he scooped honey and ate. And then the word reached his father, and his father, because he promised that anybody who eats that today will be killed, so it was his son that ate. It was the people who protected him, or else his father could have killed him again. Now, there were 30,000 people gathered there, ready for war. Because Israel had no weapon, only 600 turned out to come, and, when they were fighting, people would come the other side, and people would come the other side, and they would throw insults to each other, and then they start fighting and killing one another. So now they were on this side, 30,000 men and chariots. They were on this side, Saul with one weapon, and this side, so 2 weapons, and only 600 men. Sometimes, brethren, we come into such a situation where you become helpless. Like that woman with the lion, the cougar, I don't know how to pronounce that. You find yourself so helpless. So it needs somebody who is faith, like faith is the victory. Now he looked, because they had camped. Now Saul and his 600 people were hiding in the cave. Now it was a state of distress, that was just explained. Then the Philistines gathered together, and I've said that one. So now verse 5 of chapter 13, verse 5 of chapter 13, very quickly. Then the Philistines gathered together to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen. Now, 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand which is in the seesaw of multitude of people. Now, against 600. Sometimes life can be that tough. You look at your financial difficulties, you can't make it. You look at your debts and credit cards, you say it's impossible. You look at the sickness that's going through you and say this cannot come up away. Things are all against you. So Israel decided to hide in the cave. Because if they stay home, those people would go back there and burn their houses. So they would come and pretend that they're there. Some of us come to church or go to places pretending, but because our minds are not there. I know some people, even in the church now here, they can be here, just they brought the body, but their minds are somewhere else, calculating what they need to do next, of their debts, or of their things that they have in the mind, or to their children, or to their whatever. Some people are hiding. So they were hiding in the caves, and that is what was the state. Some of us are in a state of distress, and we have to accept that. Maybe would be the power to help. Now, the arm bearer, so I like this because I have to bring him up. So he told his arm bearer, let's go over. Go over. If you, I don't know what kind of friends you have that will always cheer you up, will not discourage you, will not talk just about people, will just talk, but will do something, will support you in any good adventure that you want to take. And such people are very rare, very, very rare. In such case, they see the uphill, they see the giant Goliath, but they will tell you, no, let's just go. Maybe God will be on our side. Maybe. That's the faith that we're talking about. Now the armbearer said to him, hey, let's go according to your heart. Let's go according to what you feel. Then Jonathan said, very well, let's go. He was cheered up. Some of us are sick. Get somebody to cheer you up, because we know this journey is just but ending. Yes. Amen. Our aim is to go to heaven. So Amen. This thing we are just passing by. So we want people to cheer you up. Those people to cheer you up are very rare. Yeah. There are many people who will just, that one is impossible. When you come to this country, many people will tell you, that one is impossible. That one is impossible, but you are doing it. No, you cannot do that. You cannot go to school. You have to work 3 jobs, 5 jobs here. This is impossible. You cannot graduate. You cannot go to Harvard. You cannot go to all those big colleges. And the people are there. You cannot do a business. You can only work these jobs, this kind of jobs, where you're paying minimum wage. You cannot make a business in America. I tell you, people will discourage you. If there are people who will encourage you, there are very few people. Very, very few people. Some will jealously try to block your way by telling you stories which are not true. So now look at the power of maybe. It's an act of faith and bravery. So now Saul, the crown king, was not in the battlefield fighting the Philistine. He was hiding, he was caving out, was hiding with 600 men. Jonathan does something strange, something the most of us will never do. Will never do. Now, two different groups were in there. Saul is the king. He is hiding in the cave with his 600 men, soldiers, waiting to see what God will do or say or show him a sign. Some people say, some people go, miracle is not a test of obedience to God. Some people want to see miracles. Instead, where they will go. Some people want to see the hands in the air or angels walking, flapping their wings. It's when they think God is now there. Some people think that it is impossible to happen. It needs somebody like Jonathan, who says, now, remember the book we say, let's try and go over there. Maybe the Lord will be on our side. So Jonathan and his armor bearer is not just sitting around and waiting to see what God can do. Sitting around and just waiting to see what God can do. Claiming the promise in Matthew chapter 16 verse 18, and on this rock I will build my church. God has promises. He says, seek ye first the kingdom and everything. Now, what is our way out here is to just do something different. And I want to plead with you in your family. Do something different. You know, Jonathan came to die, but he died as a hero, protecting his family. But that day, you know what happened. Jonathan said he said himself, he's not going to just lazy around and wait for the enemy to attack him, but moved on a maybe. Now he told his armor bearer, let's go over there, if you read the story, and let's stand there and let them see us. And if they call us to come, and if they come to us, if they call us to come to them, which many people fear, then you know that God has delivered them into our hands. But if they tell us, wait there, we are coming, you know that they will kill us, so run. So that was an amazing. You know what makes me think it's a kind of strange thing? Jonathan, the Bible doesn't put it clear, though I thought. That could be my thought. He did not even pray. But because he trusted on the promises of the Lord, he categorically walked towards an army of 30,000 with his armor bearer only. And what you know, God doesn't feed only by many, but he can also deliver by few. And that is my testimony. Because God does not work with so many. It is in the Bible very well here. Even if you go with Gideon, he said, oh, take off all those people who are traveling. Take those people who are sleeping on their bellies, but remain with only few people. God did not only let Israel go around in Jericho for 7 days. Why? Because he wanted them to get tired, and afterwards, that they cannot even fight. Then when they have victory, they will claim it is God's who did that to them. But that's why sometimes you work so hard and you don't get anything. But the very day that you surrender to God, then things start streaming in. There's sometimes we work so hard, even forgetting the church, forgetting to do for the church. You think you are doing it on your own, you think by your power and the might, it will be not good for you. He did not wait for a sign from heaven to do what that things to do. Now the church was never called on to play defense, but to play offense, attacking the kingdom of the devil. We are called to take the fight to them, not let the fight come to us. Because when his strategy was so good, Elder Harvey, that when you take to them, you win. But if you wait for them to come to you, you lose. So you have that strength just by faith on a power of a maybe. Let's go over there, maybe. And the Bible is very clear, try me and see if I'll not open up the gates. So this, maybe. And that makes me feel better. Now I was struck by the story of this Starbucks. I've never drank a Starbucks coffee or entered a Starbucks shop. because of my mentality of a coffee. So I've never entered any coffee shop. I've never entered any coffee shop. But there's something I like with his mission. You know, everybody has a mission. Now he says this. Our mission is to inspire and nurture the human spirit. That is, I'll come with the name. One person with all our partners, our coffee, and our customers at our what? At our core, we live these values. Creating a culture of warmth and belonging where everyone is welcome. Acting with courage, challenging the status quo and finding a new way to grow our company and each other. You know, it's the only company, Starbucks, that would give you everything, all the benefits, even if you are just temporary. It's only Starbucks. So that's what it means. Being present, connecting with the transparency, dignity and respect. Being present. Just being there. Delivering our very best in all we do, holding ourselves accountable for results. We are performance driven through the lens of humanity. One cup and one neighborhood at a time. That is Starbucks' mission. Now, you want to know his story? Read his story. His name is Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz took charge of Starbucks in 1980s and turned it a regional coffee conqueror company. Oh, let me go back. You know, my eyes are going really deep. Really deep. That's why I'm asking for it. Yeah, it's transition time. And I think it will not go anymore. I have projected, I have glasses, and I can still see. So that's kind of strange. Now, in January Schultz expanded Starbucks from 11 stores to more than 28,000 worldwide. And that is what Starbucks is. He's retired now on that. He wants to be the president. Now, if I have to vote for somebody, if he comes up, he has a very good mission, I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Now, look at that guy. He was, if you look at his history, take time and read his history. He was born in the suburbs here in New York. Not from a family, he struggled to go through college. But look at what he is now. Now, his net worth is 3 billion. Is it 3 billion? Yeah. That is his net worth. He never worked like we do, but he thought that he should do that. Now, brethren, a power of a maybe. Mature faith does not make discussions based, decisions, I think that's what I want to try, based on what you know, but on what you know. Mature faith does not make decisions based on what you know, but on who you know. Does it make sense? Yeah. It's a call of faith to dream beyond one's imagination because we believe God can do the impossible. Now He'll make a way where seems to be no way. God makes a way where there seems to be no way. Jonathan made his mind to join God on what he has already made and doing. You know, God has already planned all those things. So just join Him. And this is my statement. Sometimes we are commissioned to go to God's errand without trying to know how. You know, the problem that we always have, and I've gone through these things I've known in my services here until now. We bring up an agenda, and people want all the details. Now, if you have that mature faith, you just aim at your goal, no details. Now, these people didn't even ask a detail. Abraham, when he was told to move from where he was and go somewhere, he just closed up his eyes and followed God that way. Now, I'm saying this by faith because we know God has already been there. If He asks you of anything, if the church tells you of anything, God is already there. He just wants you to see you make a move. Yes. Now, before you step on the Jordan, it won't go away, part away. But when you make a single step, it won't part. That is the idea of even the Starbucks person. Now, he didn't even have money when he wanted to buy those 3 stores. He borrowed those money, and then he made billions out of it. And it was given to this Rockefeller, somebody who gave him. I'll go back to the story. Sometimes we are commissioned to go on God's errand. Now, even Isaiah, when he was told to walk naked, he didn't even ask God anything. What does that mean? Now, sometimes when we make an announcement here, we say, we need this, we need this. So, where will we get that money? No, we want a baby. Just make a step, and the Lord will do the rest. Because he has everything. If it comes to church, that is his church. His church, completely his church. We are just representative. Now, and I said here, we are not working to God. How can you work to God? We are working with God. Let co-workers together with God. And he is the leader. He leads. He wants just to see how you can be able to help. Now, I want to finish up there because time is not on our side. That's a long story. But I beg to learn from Jonathan. He did not even ask for the nitty-gritty parts of all those things. He went, and if you read that story, that day, 600 men without weapons. Only one person. They killed all the chariots and everything. Sometimes things might be so big before you. But if you put into God, whom I say is the only help at the time of need, is God. So today we want to come, because time is not on our side, we want to come to the table, and everybody is called to the table. This is very, very important subject that we always do. And I beg, as we read the Bible, there are things that are remain. You have been baptized, all right. You have known God, all right. But there are some things that you need to just put into place. God is a God of order. And so in John chapter 13, let me start by verse 3. John 13, verse 3, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things to his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, rose from supper and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with their towel with which he was girded. Now, this is what I'm saying, is by faith. We don't understand what that means. But now he said, verse 8, because Peter said to him, in verse 7, Jesus said to him, verse 7, what I am doing, you do not understand now, but you will know after this. So I'm curious. Join me in being curious to know after this, what is the meaning of this? Then verse 8, Peter said, no, you can't wash my feet. He said, if I don't wash your feet, you have no part with me. No. Now, in verse 15, for I have given you an example, that you should do as I have done to you. Verse 17, if you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. Now, we are finished in that matter. And I beg that the only thing that remains for us is to just listen. Because that's what God wants. Just to listen to him. Because if you can't listen to him now, then it will be impossible for you to listen to him in heaven. Now the ladies will go back there because they have the place when they wash, as we sing our last song. And the men will come before here and we wash our feet. It won't take long because I know how it is. So Jesus gave us this and he wants us to do these things. As we wash, let's sing, let's think forward, let's be brave because God is already on the victory. No, we are not on the losing side. That one makes me feel better. We are not on the losing side. We are working on the winning side. So the battle is only processes that we are going, but the battle has already been won. And we are glad about that. So let's sing our last song, song number 422. We are marching to Zion. As we do that, the deacons and the deaconesses will help you, and everybody who's here is welcome to wash his brother's feet as we go. So let's look at Psalm 422.